Bloodwing here. Here to drop some more grumpiness upon the internet. That y'all can come back. Before we get into today's topic, I'd like to thank everyone for their likes and comments on the video I did for Bering and his army. It was a fun little project. I enjoyed doing it. And while I'm at it, I know I'm pretty small at the moment, just getting my feet under me, but I think I'm getting better with each passing video. And not that I'm begging or anything, because I wouldn't do that, but if you find my content worth anything at all, just think about dropping a like and maybe even a sub or two. But if you don't, hey, that's cool too. I'll still keep kicking and still putting this out until we get it right. Today I got a notice from Patriarchy telling me that my membership would be revoked and that my anti-SJW card would be recalled if I didn't at least do one video on everybody's favorite, extremely confused, non-binary, easily offended millennial So, took a look through her content, picked out one of her videos to talk about, and, well, let's see what it has to say.
Cute and...
Oh, no. Just no.
Good morning, easily offended millennials. This video is in response to a video made by the one janitor entitled, "Are you a feminist?" in which he explains he believes people ask this question as a baited question.
Of course it's a baited question. They put it out there just so they can know whether or not they're going to rip off your balls or not.
To mean, are you a good person? Thank you, Kevin, for making this video because you're essentially calling me out. About a year ago, I was a lot more committed and...
Wait, you were committed? Wow, does that explain a lot?
...strongly associated with the term feminism, and I have used the question, "Are you a feminist?" as a baited question. I wasn't even very conscious of the fact that I was doing this. I would ask someone if they were a feminist before I got in a relationship with them, or before I pursued a friendship with them, because I wanted to know if we agreed on political ideas.
So in other words, you just wanted to know if they were as brainwashed as you were before you would even consider them as being a friend or in a relationship. Kind of seems a little bigoted to me there, Milo, but go on.
But the thing is that being a feminist does not necessarily mean that I would agree with someone on all issues, which is what I want to talk about today.
Well, I can at least agree with that. No matter what group or what political ideology influences you, you're not going to ever agree with everybody totally. It just doesn't happen. What you can do is try to focus on those things that you can agree upon and build upon those. It's diversity. If I only picked friends and relationships of people that are exactly like me, boy, that would be pretty boring, and that would be an echo chamber, But diversity, that's the key. And I almost hate to use that word because of the way that it's used as a catchphrase or as a buzzword. But, having different types of people around you, having stimulating conversation of opposing viewpoints, kind of can help take you out of that echo chamber. But I'm sorry, I interrupted again, didn't I? You go on.
Feminism are useful for describing movements.
Describing what?
For describing movements.
Did I hear you right? Really? In polite company? Okay then. I'm sorry. I just gotta do it.
Firstly, I think they are helpful to provide sanctuary for its members.
Oh yeah, let's all have our safe spaces, shall we?
This is something that I think feminism has done well for white, cis, straight women. There's a lot of women protecting women memos from the feminism movement, which I think are helpful for the people that they protect.
And I hear a butt coming.
The label feminism is also helpful to help unify people for a certain cause and mobilize them in fighting that certain cause. I think the baited question, are you a feminist, ties into this providing sanctuary aspect of feminism. Because I think when women ask this, they want to know if someone would stand up for them for, say, if they're being discriminated against or receiving street harassment.
No, they just want to know whether they can scream in your face that you're a white male and that you should be ashamed and scream all about the patriarchy and all those things that they tend to yell and put out, you know. Might be a safe space for them, but it sure isn't becoming very safe for the white male.
However, I don't think this even works as a baited question, because feminists can't agree who they're providing sanctuary for. A lot of feminists love to repeat and repeat the definition of feminism, which is usually along the lines of the belief or activism for equality between men and women.
You're right, they repeat it a lot. And no matter how much they repeat it, it's still wrong. What they're talking about is egalitarianism, not feminism. There's no reason why people have to keep telling you all this, but I feel like I'm beating my head against a wall.
Yet brands of feminism like trans-exclusionary radical feminism and white feminism exist because a lot of feminists would rather discriminate against women of color and trans women than fight for their rights.
What? Now let me get this straight. The organism that says that it is for the equality among the sexes, equality for both men and women, discriminates? Are you sure, Milo? Yeah, I guess she's sure. And it's not that I'm disagreeing with her, I'm just shocked to hear her say that, or anybody that's been involved with feminism.
But Milo, how does feminism do for unifying and mobilizing?
I'm sorry, but where does she get these freaky facial and body motions at? They just weird me out. I'm sorry.
Good question, because I'm about to just talk about that.
I don't remember asking that question, but okay, go ahead.
Long answer short, I think that feminism as a whole movement has really failed to unify. Certain groups have unified underneath feminism and have then mobilized, but we're not really functioning well as a whole. Recently, we've seen the Black Lives Matter movement become extremely mobilized.
First of all, Black Lives Matter is not a feminist movement. And yes, they are localized or focused on one enemy, that's the white man, and one movement that's their own superiority within the country. But that's another topic for another video.
Which I think is because they are extremely set on one enemy or one goal to overcome police brutality. I genuinely believe that most feminists believe they're advocating for the equality between men and women. The issue comes when most feminists can't really agree upon what that equality would look like.
Sure they can. They want men to be subservient and they want to rule the world.
A lot of many factions have popped up under feminism, which all provide a slightly different understanding of what equality between men and women looks like. But the different factions do a really terrible job of working together and being critical of each other's definitions.
So what you're saying, that certain factions of feminism are turning on one another and eating each other up from the inside. Interesting. Please go on.
I recently attended a lecture at Rice University where I saw a very well-known trans feminist speaking and a very well-known feminist who was associated with trans radical feminism. And we essentially came to an impasse because it seemed like trans feminists and trans exclusionary radical feminists couldn't agree upon the definition of gender. Instead of acknowledging these pretty problematic factions of feminism and using that to be critical of the entire label of feminism, because the members do reflect the group as a whole, most feminists, or at least I've seen a lot of feminists, do this thing where they just say, no, that's not really what feminism is, this is what feminism is, and then provide their understanding of feminism. A better way to deal with that situation would be to say, that is not my version of feminism, that's not what I believe, instead of just saying, nope, that's not true, this is my version of feminism and thus reflects entirety of feminism.
Milo, I'm certainly not going to justify feminism by any means here, but as you said, it is a movement, and every movement has to come together somehow on a cause. If we just all have our own version of what's going on, then you're not going to have a movement. What you have is just a multiplicity of people out there running around talking about their opinions. At some point, you do have to get together, or a movement will just die.
Since I've become a lot more critical of feminism, I have been asked, are you a feminist? Which does to me come off as a baited question, and I don't know how to answer it.
Imagine that. You, confused. I'm shocked. Can you hear it in my voice? Really? No, really.
I think a lot of people will automatically associate me with feminism and classify me as a feminist, partially because I have called myself a feminist before online, but truthfully, I don't really know how to label myself.
Truthfully, we all know that, Milo. You claim that you're non-binary, that you're asexual, and all of those other things. You're a Tumblr kitty that associates with that 37, or maybe it's 1,000 by now, different genders and all your pronouns, and respect your pronouns. So, yeah, we're really not shocked by that statement that you just don't know where you fit in there.
I think fairly recently, womanism broke off of feminism as a way to advocate for the intersectionality between sexism and racism. I think that type of movement has the potential to be a lot more powerful than feminism. I think it's really great for women of color to have the label womanism.
Oh, great. Yet another SJW mindless faction to have to fight. Just what we all wanted to hear.
But it's also not a permanent solution because we can't create labels for each different type of intersectionality, because we're probably always going to leave someone out for some different type of intersectionality that we didn't think of, and just further isolate the people with the most intersecting identities.
So you're saying the source of your confusion and sitting on the fence on this issue is that maybe feminism has a hard time respecting and understanding all your myriad different genders and all your different pronouns. Maybe they're not accepting of all that stuff. Wow. Maybe they've got some smarts to them after all. No, what am I saying?
Also, if I were to attempt to advocate inside of feminism and identify as a feminist, I don't know what the heck I would do or how I would advocate that, because I'm non-binary and most conversations in feminism are extremely binary concerning gender. I literally don't know how non-binary people fit into this hierarchy of genders because it's just not talked about.
Milo, you can't have 37 different movements outside of feminism for fighting for rights for all these fictional genders, this non-binary crap that you and all your other fellow Tumblr kitties espouse, and have it under all one umbrella. It's just not viable. It's not going to happen. And see, you're starting to confuse yourself, and you don't even see it. You don't even see that you're starting to realize that this 37 different genders that you espouse just doesn't fit in the real world. It's just not reality. It's a made up bunch of bogus crap. And you don't even realize that you're starting to stumble upon the own answer of your own confusion. It boggles the mind.
Anyway, those are my thoughts. Please tell me in the comments or in a video response. Let's bring video responses back, yeah.
Oh, trust me, I will.
What you think is, if you think there is a solution to this problem with feminism or an alternative label, and where you think non-binary people fit into all of this, because I am clueless.
They don't fit in anywhere. And, I thought I'd never hear her admit it.
Because I am clueless.
Just had to hear it again. Her admission was so refreshing.
Alright, peace!
And there you have it. Even more confusing rhetoric from Milo Stewart. Milo, I'm sure you're a pretty nice person. In fact, I'm pretty sure you are a nice person. You're just so confused. And that's all right. I understand you just turned 18, which in my book still makes you a kid. Kids are confused. It's nothing unusual for people to grow up being confused about a lot of things, including their sexuality and whatnot. They generally grow out of it. My hope is that someday you'll grow out of it. But if you don't, if you still think that there's all these different genders and that you're really non-binary, neither male nor female, you're going to have a lot of issues down the line, and I'm afraid that you're going to end up a pretty unhappy person with a lot of issues. But I hope not. I really do hope not. But until then, I'll keep fighting your stupidity, and so will a lot of others here on YouTube. Well, I think that's going to do it for today's episode. And as always, get out of my yard.